And that is going to be our metal sundries flowing over there. Holy moly! This is like... Wow. It's another level of Tetris, isn't it? Alright everybody, hello and welcome back to another episode of Good Company, where today we are going to work some more on the setup of this huge new production line for robotic pipe cleaners that we already started in the last few episodes, but we of course did some things alongside, including crazily boosting our research capabilities just through really, you know, adding a few new tables and, well, totally outgrowing our old possibilities. But today now, it is time to actually look back at all of this. And it's going to be a bit of going back and forth, probably calculating, seeing how much of which stuff we actually need for what. And, well, kind of making sure that we have all the things that we need, because there's a lot of components still to set up here. We do already, of course, have this circuit board production out here, and, well, the logic circuits right there, which we do need for our products. We do have everything that we do need for batteries, but there's a lot of mechanical components to these robotic pipe cleaners, as you can see right here, and those do lead a lot of, well, metal parts. You know, you've got mechanical parts right here. We need small DC motors, which need more of these kinds of parts. And then on top of that, we've got the single jointed segment. So there's actually a lot of things to look at in terms of that. And I think we are going to start things out here today by actually setting up the tables themselves. And then with those tables that we do have in here, kind of just going from there and seeing how much of what we need to feed all the necessary components into the table. So let's get started on that. Let's go in here to our advanced workbenches, and we have got the mechanics workbenches right here, which we will need to actually make the motors that we need. Now I'm just going to randomly set those up right here. We're probably going to end up moving them about the place a bit eventually, but I just want to kind of get a feeling of what we need and how much of that, and well, you know, then we're going to go back and actually do the proper placement and alignment based on where we have all the conveyors coming in the end and what's kind of the shortest possible and sensible logistics ways. Now that is these tables set up, which is basically my motor setup. Now the other thing that we do need is the stuff for the single jointed segments, and looking at this, it does look as though we can actually use mechanical workbenches for these. Still takes them a whole day to make that, which is kind of crazy. I didn't really think it was going to be that much, but given that, we could honestly kind of require 3 of these tables to match the frequencies as everything else. Now the question also sort of kind of being, what is our assembly frequency here? It's 0.8, so I think it kind of makes sense to have 3 workbenches for this, just to rather overproduce on one thing than underproduce on this thing and holding back all the other production lines. Because I'm pretty sure that if we look at this, we should be making like yeah, it was 0.6 days, so we're kind of overproducing for 2 tables, slightly underproducing for 3. But with this then, I mean, like, we are kind of also slightly overproducing. With this, we would be, with 2 tables, underproducing for 2 assembly stations by quite a significant margin, so I think we do indeed need that. I mean, over here, this is really probably the least of our concerns. We're making 5 of these every day, and we only need like 2 every 0.8 days, so this thing can easily provide for 3 assembly tables. And, well, maybe we're gonna kind of expand the other things in a bit too, to kind of accommodate 3, well, accommodate enough tables to make the materials for 3 assembly tables. But, you know, that kind of also depends on all this mechanical parts and metal sundries and everything else stuff, because I feel like we're gonna need a huge ton of input right there, so we'll also kind of have to see how we are going to end up doing this. Now with that said, let's for the time being just go and set up all these recipes right here so we can start getting a bit better of a feeling of what we actually need, and then we'll probably also go and set up like a big shelving rack here. I don't really want to... I mean, we could kind of set up 2 small shelving racks like this, I suppose. We're going to do that for now. Now, also another question sort of being here is, do we want to keep this one big logistics zone? I kind of feel we don't, to be honest. I kind of sort of really would like to split this in 2 or maybe even 3 halves. The thing is, though, if I want to kind of deliver all these products to my assembly, it needs to be one zone, but like my logistics employees are going to be moving so much, and I don't really want to establish a courier route too badly. It's all kind of a bit of a precarious situation. Maybe we can just put some conveyors down right here that transport some of these things back and forth so my logistics employees' ways are shortened. I'm not quite sure. We'll have to see about that. It's going to be a complicated setup, I think, but we're going to leave it at 1 logistics zone still for the time being. Now, looking back at this, given that we're working on the 0.6 day frequency right here, we're going to have quite the crazy requirement because we need, well, 5, 10 bits of metal sundries. I wish there was a notepad in game or something at this point, because honestly this is going to be quite a long list. So we don't need that many metal sundries for this, but we also need mechanical parts, which I think needs rods and gears only. Also, speaking of which, we actually need the tables to make the mechanical parts, because that's not something that our machines can provide. So speaking of that, let's get 1 going for the start. We'll see how much it makes and just kind of adjust to that. So we're going to make 5 every 0.6 days here. We do need 1, 2... Okay, that's 6 every 0.6 days, and we do need more right here. So we're going to make 2 tables for the mechanical parts, which of course we're going to move because we're currently blocking all the conveyor entrances. But for the time being, that's the way that we put them down. That's going to provide us with enough mechanical parts for a start. Now, we said here 10 metal sundries out there in total every 0.6 days, plus this makes it 18. Now, this is sort of the final step, and we're going to be very well sorted, I think, on metal sundries here with the output frequencies. Rods, on the other hand side, we're going to make 25. We're going to use 15 of that already for this metal sundry thing, so we're going to only have a surplus of 10 rods every day. The question being, do we use these rods separately anywhere? We do. And this thing requires 5 rods every day. So we would have 5 missing. Seriously, 5 rods missing, I think, doesn't really justify a second piece of machinery in all the conveyor belts that much, so we may end up just doing 1 workbench for metal rods just to kind of provide that. I mean, it's going to cost us more in terms of actually paying more workers, but I'm not like, I mean, I could set it all up probably, and maybe I'm just being a bit lazy or something, but it's kind of crazy overproduction at that point, because we'd have like 20 surplus, and we don't need more metal sundries, so we wouldn't be pushing it into any other metal sundry machinery or something. Something to think about for a minute, maybe. Now, looking at this other stuff, I feel that's about everything we need. Other than that, we're pretty well covered. Like, of course we're using gears, but the gears we're only using here, and we're not really using that many gears, so, you know, even this machine probably being a bit of an overkill, but that's kind of got us sorted already. So what I'm going to do now for the time being is I'm actually going to move these things up here a bit. We're going to make some sense of this whole setup and kind of try and waste a little less space. We're going to move this thing to out here, because what I do want to do is I will go and put a small shelving rack right here, like that, which of course isn't quite optimal for the access for my employees. Maybe we can at least put them there. That should make it easier and shorten the route a bit. But that way we can have a storage thingy right here, and we can just put our gears right in, which does in turn mean that our gears will just be produced basically right here, which is very nice and simple to set it up like that. We will have to see as to how we store this all in the big shelving rack and pull it back out and everything, but overall it shouldn't be the craziest task in the world. Now, that is the mechanical part's already basically set up. No, actually not quite, because we do need the metal sundries here too, and we do need them in other spots theoretically, so distributing them will probably not be the easiest thing in the world. I mean, ideally, what we would have happening is storing this kind of stuff into a big shelving rack and pulling it out on 2 different conveyors, and one conveyor going here, maybe into another shelf just to store it, then another conveyor going here and storing it into that shelf if we just turn it around. That way we would kind of save ourselves some logistics employees, I suppose. So that could be an idea. And then the middle rods, like, the thing is, I'm not quite sure about the middle rods part at the moment, because, well, I would sort of kind of really not like to hire another employee, but then again I would also not really like to. I'm probably just being lazy. Let's just hire another employee, not hire another, let's just build a second machine for that, and then we'll kind of figure out how to set it up. So we are going to go and make build another middle processing machine that'll be doing rods, and well, one of these is going to be exclusively just delivering out stuff to over there, and the other one is kind of going to be, well, reused in the middle processing, and then at least we maybe don't have to split things up that much, because given that this thing here should be making 25 rods, that's easily supplying everything that we need for the jointed segments, and we can just kind of, yeah, just work with that and not worry about it too much. Now we will have to sort of kind of move the table out here a tad bit, and I'm kind of sort of considering to actually just make this one bit of storage. It's kind of a bit of a question of how do I want to set it up, but if we just do it like this and actually have our employees move a tad bit, we could just like store it all into one shelf, because otherwise I'm not quite sure how I would want to accomplish such a thing. Now, the thing is here, I can't place it because my employees have to stand somewhere, so I don't have the opportunity to actually place a storage segment right there. Only option potentially being to just have a corner shelf, like here? Or here? Like there, maybe? And then I don't like this too much, I'll have to say. Like the movement and everything, no, I think we're not going to do it like that. I would rather... I'm kind of thinking if I can get this going with a shelf that's actually somewhat close to my employees, where my employees won't have to waste time moving. But then again, like, thinking about it, well, we don't have that much of an overproduction, given that we are trying to fill... No, I think it's fine. I think it's fine. We're just going to have a big shelving rack. We're going to go for the easy solution here, not overthink it that crazy much. We're going to get rid of these things for the time being, and then we're going to move things to a spot where I can easily just have a storage segment going into here, and then have my employees chilling right there, and then my logistics employees are just going to have to move around to actually get the stuff out of there. But I think that's really the... more or less the easiest solution. We can just pull the metal rods out right here and then move on with life. Now the thing here also being that in this big shelving rack I can of course only have 2 retrieval segments, and maybe we should think about that as well for a quick second. Let's maybe do some conveyor belt theory work. So we will have 2 retrieval segments right here, and we'll have 1 automatic storage segment that pulls it all in. Now, I kind of need 3 metal outs though, because I need 1 for the gears, I need 2 for the rods. So, kind of a bit of a question of how do we want to achieve this. I mean, this part here being pretty clear, of course, if I just pull this around the corner and that gets stored in there, and that's basically it. So that's, like, for the time being, the easier part. Now, the other thing here is this, and I sort of probably have to split things into another big shelving rack just to achieve that, I suppose would be the best option right here. No. That's absolutely not what I wanted to do. I wanted to move it. I didn't want to destroy the machine. That's a good way to waste money, I suppose. And we're going to get that machine back up and running, and we're going to go and click it and put metal sundries into its task menu right there. Now, the question I'm kind of sort of asking myself is how do I ideally do all the conveyor work without totally making things a bit too crazy, if that makes sense. So, I mean, this one here is nice and simple. Right, we'll have that going right there. We'll have this coming around the corner and then going up here. Maybe we can... No, maybe we can not do that already because we don't really have that much in terms of conveyor belts, but that's totally fine. Actually, we do have a good bunch now. We did get some backlog in the last episode, I suppose, when we did all the research stuff, so we can maybe do a bit more conveyor work right here, just to kind of also indicate to myself what I want to do here when we get back to it in another episode. So we will go and have an overhead transporter right here, and that's absolutely not symmetrical, which oh my god, I cannot stand that. Why can it not be symmetrical, please? Chasing carrots, my dear friends, I cannot live with this. That's fine. So well, overhead transporter right there, and I think the rest of the idea is pretty clear. We're gonna just match this part here because I want things to look somewhat nice and streamlined. Alright, we're gonna match that part, and then this thing is coming around here. We'll have to take a turn around the barrel, which for whatever reason has to be there. We're gonna go and pull that conveyor belt in right there, and we'll have an automatic storage segment, and that's basically already the first part of the whole metal rod saga being done, which is kind of nice, you know. Not all too chaotic, I suppose, somewhat working fine. That is always great news. Now, the one thing I'm currently actually considering is to slightly move this part, like this machine. If I move it closer to the wall, I'll have more space to work with here for the whole metal rod thingamajig, so I think we're going to do that. We're not going to accidentally deconstruct one of these things again. I'm going to have to slightly actually get rid of this conveyor belt part once more, so I can adjust that very part of things, and then we're just going to do a little turn like that. It doesn't look quite as nice as it previously did, I would argue, but then again, we do now have some more space through which we can go and move the metal parts for this metal rod thingy here in a minute, which is going to be very nice. Now, that means that I don't have to place a metal sundry thing down there. I will have to see about how to get the metal there. Now, the thing is, what we do need, and what is going to make things ever so slightly more complicated, is another big shelving rack in order to be able to split this up a tad bit more. So we will go here and basically just have a storage segment right around the corner. We will have 2 retrieval segments once more for this thing, and then we will go and do something roundabout like this, and well, you know, that I think is pretty logical to everyone. We're going to take metal off this shelf, we're going to put it on that shelf, and we're going to use this shelf to actually have 2 outs again, which gives us a total of 3 outs, and well, that way should hopefully somewhat nicely work as long as we've got enough metal being fed right here, which well, let's hope we will. What I'm actually probably going to do here, to be honest, is we will go and remove that small shelving rack. It may be the easier one to access for my logistics employees, but we're going to make it a big shelving rack, just to kind of ensure that we have as much as possible, basically, flowing in terms of metal here, because well, the second this thing runs out, that whole production down there is going to be absolutely messed up. So we're going to need to ensure we've got as much metal as possible flowing in at all times. Hopefully that's somehow going to work. We're probably going to need a bunch of logistics employees to ensure that's going to be the case. But that's the plan right there. Now, with that said, we do now have this out right here, and I think we can somewhat use that to feed our metal rod production down here nicely. Beautiful. And that's going to make us some more metal rods, which we're then going to use for our metal processing machine, which actually needs to sort of kind of have an out right here, which actually also sort of kind of blocks that conveyor thingy right there, which I don't actually like too much. So what we're probably going to have to do is some sort of workaround. I would like some sort of overhead transporter, ideally. I think that would kind of work for me. Now, this is going to look a bit messy, but it is going to be somewhat streamlined. The only thing is that I do need to move it one slot further out, which should not hamper my efforts at all. So we're going to have this out right here. We're going to have an overhead transporter right there, and basically we will go and pull this thing around like that, which will feed into our gear production, and then we will have the metal sundries coming out of here go through that overhead transporter, around the corner, back through here, and that is going to be our metal sundries flowing over there. Holy moly! This is like, wow. It's another level of Tetris, isn't it? Absolutely insane, but I think we got pretty much everything accomplished that we wanted to. I cannot even get this huge conveyor network all into one single kind of screen, despite me playing at 1440p at this point. So that just goes to show you how insane that is, but, well, you know, it somehow somehow we got it together. Holy moly, I was really kind of afraid of this part because it was going to be so much work and so complicated. And we did actually run out of conveyor parts again, so we're going to have to kind of, you know, make sure there's going to be more flowing our way, which kind of actually means that I need to put more plastic into that queue. But yeah, I mean, absolute insanity thus far. I hope you all like our progress. I certainly do. Like, this is absolutely mental. I'm kind of happy, honestly, now that I went with the extra machine, even though we don't maybe quite that necessarily need it. I think it's nice and beautiful, and we do actually in the end have all these things automated that we can automate. So yeah, I think we're going the right way with that. Now, we've of course got this out right here, which is going to be our gears, which is going to flow to up there. Maybe actually going to be able to complete that conveyor more or less. Beautiful. 3 conveyor parts left, which means I even can place an automated storage segment for that. And, well, that's absolutely awesome. Really just a few tiny parts left right here. We gotta, of course, connect the metal sundries and kind of actually probably put them into a big shelving rack and resplit them and do some other shenanigans to actually properly distribute them to the places they need to go. But overall, you know, this is very much going the right way. I think we've literally nearly got all the stuff predefined for our metal production right here, except for me just noticing one crucial mistake here in the conveyors, not connecting these two machines, and this machine being a bit too close to that machine. So we'll probably have to do some more shenanigans in terms of actually moving this machine back a bit and, well, redoing the conveyor connection, but that's all going to work out for us. I'm really excited to actually get this whole thing finished, get the rules going, and, well, then kind of make sure that all the logistics are properly assigned. We hire workers, we hire logistics employees, we actually get a final assembly going, and hopefully a lot of profit from all these crazy operations. But for today then, I'm going to end this crazy madness off here. I hope you all very much enjoyed it as usual. If you did, please make sure to hit that like button down below. That does always help out the channel a ton, and maybe share what your craziest conveyor creation and good company thus far has been. I would certainly be very interested in that. Other than that, if you're new to the channel and haven't done so just yet, also please consider subscribing right down below, as well as hitting that bell icon to stay up to date on all the future upcoming episodes. And, well, with that said, I'm going to end it off right here. So thanks so much for watching as usual, everyone. And I hope I'll catch you in the next episode very, very soon then. Ciao.